Throughout the Civil War, 1861 to 1865, President Abraham Lincoln and his family spent the summer and fall in a cottage on the grounds of the Soldiers' Home in the country outside of Washington, D.C. Relatively isolated and poorly guarded, Lincoln was dismissive of any danger to himself or his family. He is reputed to have said it would never do for a president to have guards with drawn sabers at his door, as if he fancied he were an emperor. Many in his administration were concerned about the lack of security and on occasion took matters into their own hands, as reported by a friend. The president and his family have been living out of the Soldiers' Home, about 4 miles only this side of the rebel line of skirmishers. But on Sunday night, Secretary Stanton sent out a carriage and a guard and brought in the family, who are again domesticated at the White House. The lonely situation of the president's summer residence would have afforded a tempting chance for a daring squad of rebel cavalry to run some risks for the chance of carrying off the president, whom we could ill afford to spare right now. Of course, Lincoln did have a contingent of guards, a part of Company K of the 150th Pennsylvania Volunteers. Remaining assigned to the president from 1862 until his death in 1865, the president's bodyguard developed a friendly relationship with him. Nonetheless, he disliked it when they accompanied him during his commute to the White House. In his typical wry style, Lincoln complained to the Army Chief of Staff, Henry Halleck, was more afraid of being shot by the accidental discharge of one of the new recruits' carbines or revolvers than of any attempt on his life. Even with the assigned guard, Lincoln frequently slipped away and commuted back and forth to the cottage alone. On many occasions, he even enjoyed a lonely midnight ride to an evening destination like the Naval Observatory in Foggy Bottom. It was during such a lonely ride back to the Soldiers' Home in August of 1864 when an attempt was made on the president's life. Riding slowly on the road that led to the entrance to the grounds, a rifle shot from approximately 50 yards away startled his horse, fittingly named Old Abe. The horse then took off at what the president called breakneck speed, which unceremoniously separated me from my $8 plug hat, with which I parted company without any assent, express or implied. When he arrived at Soldiers' Home at about 11 o'clock that evening, he met Private John W. Nichols. Nichols noticed that the president was bareheaded and riding briskly. When he asked, the president mentioned the rifle shot and that the quick jump of his startled horse jerked his hat off. Later, Nichols and another soldier went searching and found the hat, which had a bullet hole in it. Nichols presented the hat to Lincoln, who was dismissive of the danger. When his friend Ward Hill Lamon expressed concern, Lincoln remained convinced that it was just an accident. He stated, "Now, in the face of this testimony in favor of your theory of danger to me, personally, I can't bring myself to believe that anyone has shot or will deliberately shoot at me with the purpose of killing me, although I must acknowledge that I heard this fellow's bullet whistle at an uncomfortably short distance from these headquarters of mine. I have about concluded that the shot was the result of accident. It may be that someone on his return from a day's hunt, regardless of the course of his discharge, fired off his gun as a precautionary measure of safety to his family after reaching his house." Whether that's actually what he believed or whether he was just putting on a brave face, in the end Lincoln wanted the entire matter hushed up. He instructed Private Nichols that the event should be kept quiet, and he told Lamon, "The whole thing seems farcical. No good can result at this time from giving it publicity. It does seem to me that I'm in more danger from the augmentation of an imaginary peril than from a judicious silence, be the danger ever so great." Lincoln continued to serve as President of the United States, apparently without another such incident, until his assassination about 8 months later on April 14th, 1865. And now for some bonus facts. In early 1861, a plot to assassinate President Lincoln in Baltimore prior to his inauguration was discovered by Allan Pinkerton. The famous detective had been hired by railroad magnate Samuel Morse Felton to thwart a secessionist plot to seize or destroy the railways. During that investigation, Pinkerton discovered the plan to kill the president. Working with Felton, Lamon, and others, Pinkerton spirited a disguised Lincoln in the dark of night through secessionist-sympathizing Baltimore and safely to Washington, D.C. This happened on February the 22nd of 1861. It's also interesting to note here that John Wilkes Booth was known to frequent Baltimore's Barnum Hotel, where Cipriano Ferrandini, one of the leaders of the 1861 Baltimore plot, had worked as a barber. And now for another bonus fact. Combined with the successful attempts, a full 36% of all US presidents have had very serious attempts made on their lives, and about 7% of US presidents have actually been assassinated. And now for another bonus fact. Teddy Roosevelt was shot by a saloon keeper, John Schrenk, on October 14, 1912. His life was saved thanks to a steel eyeglass case and a 50-page speech that he was carrying in his jacket. He decided to go ahead with his speech rather than seek medical aid immediately, as he concluded that because he was not coughing up blood, the bullet must not have penetrated that deeply into his chest. His opening line for the speech was, "Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know whether you fully understand that I've just been shot, but it takes more than that to kill a bull moose." X-rays later showed that the bullet had lodged 3 inches into his chest and was embedded in his ample chest muscle. You can actually learn much more about this in one of our recent Brain Food Show podcast episodes that I'm linking to below. So, as always, I hope you found that video interesting. Give us a like if you did. Subscribe if you want more from us. We do brand new videos 7 days a week, as well as that Brain Food Show. You can find that linked to below. And as always, thank you for watching.